Hey everyone, this is the real Theo Harvey, and
I am Mr. Benja.
look, guys, I messed it up in the intro, so we're gonna did it right for this one. But look, this is a great hot show. We always like to do some hot ones for you. We talk about Streamer University. I had no clue what that was about, and Mr. Benja educated me. Mr. Benja, what is Streamer University? Real quick, give him a tease.
I have no clue, but it's madness. This is the future. We're all doomed. We're just going to be taking pictures of each other and pictures of each other, taking pictures of each other. It's recursive. It's crazy. Streaming media, Twitch, sponsorships, influencing. If you haven't been paying attention, you might want to check this one out.
We also did our normal comment corner. So shout out to our commenters and building this powerful community here. And I checked out Sinner's update on the IMAX version, the 7mm, the big one, the big body one. So we talk a little bit about that and some travel with Virgin Cruises. So look, everyone, like we always say, please like, subscribe, comment on what you see here. We want to just get better content to you guys. So Mr. Benja, without further ado, let's go.
And before we go, remember to jump to the talk about the streaming if you want and the Streamer University. We do a good amount of conversation beforehand, but we don't want to hide the goods from you. So be sure to check the comments in the description below this thing.
Absolutely. All right, let's go.
Let's do it.
This is Show versus Business, where pop culture meets pop money. With your host, the real Theo Harvey, and Mr. Benja.
And I am Mr. Benja.
What is your week like?
And
I think we messed it all up, man, but it's all good. We're gonna keep it going.
I want a part of the intro. But carry on.
Oh man. So Mr. Benja, man, let's get right into it, man. How was your week?
Oh man. Week was going, it was on my normal weeks until Cenat and Streamer University broke my mind. We're going to talk about this later, but I spent, I'd say, a good 9 hours of a day that I hadn't planned on, really doing much internet or computer work at all. I spent 9 hours deep diving, jumping around, being in the comments, finding out what was going on. This thing, it continues to scale up and grow. And what I mean by this thing is this whole, I don't even know what to call it, this new streamer, influencer, Twitch, live stream thing that's happening. And I'm finally at the point where I'm like, I don't know what y'all are doing. If you're young and really into this stuff with Twitch and the streamers and all that, please listen up and let me know what the hell is going on, because this is wild to me. We'll talk about it later, but that was the highlight. Just me not deep diving even, just being fascinated by all the stuff going on. Biggest thing of the week. I might start a streaming channel. Should I do that?
Maybe.
Seems stressful.
Talking about it. Yeah, it's a lot, man. It's too much out there. Mr. Benja, man. Sinners is still going strong. The movie.
Did you see it again?
I did. I had the opportunity to go hang out with my brother in Dallas, Texas, and see the big 70mm IMAX one that Ryan Coogler was waxing poetic on one of his YouTube channels about. Nice. Like, this is the biggest format you want to see the movie on, and did not disappoint, Mr. Benja. I mean, the story still resonated, but to see it on such a big screen, this is like the 3-story high one where it's just like covers the whole basically side of the wall, where you almost feel like you're sitting in the movie, right?
Yeah.
Right there with cornbread hanging out. And it was one of those where I was like, wow, this is amazing. And so he did this weird thing where it would start off as the normal movie scene, right? Like the long form. And in certain scenes, it would slowly, gradually get bigger and bigger, So it was like, it would go like this. And you're like, whoa, where are we? And he had some scenes where it would go straight instantly to the big screen, right? To the big 3-story screen.
Yeah.
So obviously the one that does the gradual part of it is the one with the Miles, or the preacher boy, is singing, and when all the
Mm.
ancestors come and start, dancing around them, that scene, of course, fills the whole auditorium, and we're immersed in going back in time. So amazing film.
Awesome,
Kudos to Ryan
awesome.
Coogler. I think it's made over 200, almost 250 million, just internet in the United States. So yeah, and they got a chance to put it back out there. So I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those movies where they may be able to re-release it maybe a year from now, because people probably seen it, on their TV screens or or their phones. But then they're gonna be like, I want to see it on the big screen, so they're gonna have a re-release in another 5, 10 years to kind of see it on the big screen
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
because
Have they?
that's too much money to not see it again on
Yeah.
IMAX.
Is there a? Well, yeah, no. There's a history for that, definitely. Of hey, it's this time of year and everyone likes this movie. Back to IMAX or back to the screens and let's do it
Well,
again.
we just re-released Star Wars Revenge of the Sith after 20 years, and that made
Yeah.
25 million. So
Well,
Hollywood,
that's Star Wars, so I mean that's a little more obvious, I think, to the
oh,
populace.
well, dude, there's a lot of movies that are getting released, like 10-year anniversary of this movie, that movie. Go look it up. This is a thing. Now it doesn't get as big of a release, but that's a big thing. I mean, Hollywood
So
is looking to get people back in the theaters any way they can,
yeah, yeah,
and
and
nostalgia is always a good play.
you know what? You know what I think sinners might need a popcorn bucket. Um, except here's the thing:
Oh,
instead
let
of
me spit
popcorn,
my
instead of a
drink.
popcorn bucket, you're handing out a cornbread box. So, so you so you know how
Hilarious.
the nachos have like a little cup of cheese, me and a cup of like a little cup of maple syrup with some jam in there. Have
Mhm.
everybody walking out the end of cornbread and jam all up in the beard, and
Oh man, that's hilarious. So I heard that was going viral on TikTok. My wife telling me that the cornbread scene, a lot of folks are doing, I guess reacting to that scene where he's, trying to get into the juke joint, and they keep keeping him out. So, and it played just as funny in the big screen theater. So when I
yeah,
watched it again, so yeah, that scene is hilarious, man. But yeah, the seven deadly sins. I saw it now once you brought it up the last time we spoke about it. Obviously, cornbread is sloth. We had smoke is wrath. So now then it gets a little iffy. Who's lust, who's what's the other one, pride. You start kind of thinking like who's who over
hmm
time. But me and my brother played that game to see who we kind of designated as one of the seven deadly sins.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. As I said, I don't think it's a clean delineation on every character, but no, it's very apparent that you usually have one character that mostly embodies that
oh,
kind of
gluttony was easy, the Delroy Lindo character, right? All the drinking.
yeah.
So stuff like that, yeah, it was, yeah, good stuff.
Irish, ooh, that Irish beer.
Yeah, the Irish beer.
Oh, give me a little swing of that.
um
You know what's
yeah,
terrible is when I
what?
saw that, you could tell it's like good acting and good presentation. I had a flashback to a memory of when I was a kid in New Orleans, and I remember somebody fiending over a drop of alcohol like that. Oh, you got a little Crown Royal in there, and I'm like, as a kid, I was just like, man, you need your liquor like that. What's wrong with you? You know, and as kids, they let us actually taste this. Like, hey, listen, so you don't come in here sneaking or whatever. Here's what it tastes like, and this and that and that.
Mhm.
It's for adults. You're growing. Drink your milk. We'll drink this. If you want chocolate milk or strawberry milk, we'll get you that. This is for adults. We're like, cool, man, whatever. It tastes funny anyway. And we didn't go crazy like that.
Mhm.
But this I saw this old dude, man. He was just like, hey, got that Crown Royal up in
Oh
there.
Lord,
And I
oh
remember
Lord.
all the older folks in my house just kind of looking disappointed, like, yeah, man, we got some.
You don't calm your old ass down.
So yeah,
Yes,
gluttony.
yes, yeah. Gluttony is real. Um, yeah, man. Then also I had the opportunity to be on a cruise for the first time in, like, I can't remember when, over
Hmm.
10, 12 years. My wife and I took a couples only, so no kids, which was awesome. So
Mhm.
no daddy, and 20 heads turn, right? um in the middle of the walkway. We yeah, it was good, man, relaxing, just down the we we live in the Florida area, so we just went down to Key West, and then I guess Caribbean, if you want, Benami. I think that's the name of the island. They had a little private island. Yeah, man. So I hadn't done a cruise in a long time, but definitely it's been stepped up a long time since the last time I went. So
Okay.
really enjoyed the food and just the ambiance, and everybody gets their own little balcony where you can be on see the sea at night, and so it was kind of cool. So yeah, man, enjoyed it. Yeah, so it was relaxing. Got a a lot of ideas, man. You sitting out there on the gangway or whatever, and just with the water coming.
It's amazing how that does that.
Yes, just sitting ideas and just fiending away, writing down ideas. Oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, and just I just love that time.
Speaking of ideas, one quick thing I mentioned before I started talking about Streamer University. This week I was digging into like pushing things forward, right? Still on this, you know, Hormozy, Hardy, uh, Social Proof, David Chan's kind of, just these people we've been talking about, Myron Golden, etc. And I started into this idea of peaceful aggression, you know,
Hmm.
and where it's like once I know the emotion, once I know the feeling, once I know the vibe, I don't have to keep on going back to that well because every morning I don't have to wake up and turn on Eye of the Tiger and start punching the air and be like, ah, ah. That'll wear on you. If you're trying to do that, you can do that for 2 weeks in a row, maybe. But if you're trying to do that for 2 months, 2 quarters, every day, just really being on it like that, it's like, hey, man, peaceful aggression. So I get up and I'm like, samurai kind of action, sharpen my sword, get down to work, start doing this. Someone calls. It's like my cousin calls. Hey, I'm sorry. Your logo will have to suck for 6 more months. Thank you. And I just hang up the phone. It's like I'm not doing your logo work. I'm just peaceful aggression. I'm aggressively doing this and call somebody. Yes, I will F you up if this doesn't happen. This is peaceful aggression. I'm not mad. This is just what's going to happen.
Just matter of fact.
It's just like, yeah, it's just, I've already had the alarm bells ring and everything, so I know what I need to be aggressive on, but I just don't need to, quote unquote, be aggressive. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it's made me feel slightly odd, like the supervillains, like Lex Luthor or whatever.
Hmm.
But it's very calming. You're just like, no, no, I'm going in here. I'm going to rec shop, and if they get in the way, well, I mean, there are consequences. This peaceful aggression, I feel great about it. I
Okay.
think like Ren from Ren and Stimpy said, is when he finally achieved peace is when he realized that I like being angry.
Mm.
He was going crazy angry one day, and he's like, "Wait a minute, I've never felt this good in my entire life. I think I like being angry."
A rent a Ren and Stimpy reference, man. That's a deep one. That's a deep cut right there. So for those that know, crazy funny times watching Ren and Stimpy. Yeah. Wow, awesome, man. I think that controlled aggression, is powerful, right? You can't be on point all the time. And I'm trying to I think it's sinusoidal. Sometimes you're high, sometimes you're low, and just trying to kind of find the right medium. You don't want the what's is it the aperture? I think that's the one that goes the height of the curve, right? The higher it is, I want my apertures to be a little bit smaller so that I'm not all ups and downs. That the highs aren't the super highs and the lows aren't the super
Hmm.
lows. I kind of want to keep them in that average range, right? So that way I'm not dealing with ups and downs so much. So that's kind of how I like to run as well. I don't like to say super high and super low. I try to stay like a little flat line. So because that's the best way to be, because you don't stress yourself out and all that. But you can, as we know,
Yeah,
there's a ton of ideas to do. We were just talking about this before we joined the pod. We both got, this is just the entrepreneurial mindset also as an artist, yourself, you get so many ideas, and sometimes you just get so excited about an idea that you want to do it like right away. But sometimes I try to put them in a box. And I think you told me that years ago, and just like, hey, I'm going to get to that. And, let me just keep focused on what I'm doing, because I don't want to distract from that right now. So yeah, I definitely understand that peaceful aggression, because if you don't, man, distractions will tear you apart, boy. you be down the road so fast. You're like, wait a minute, how'd that get here?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, totally. Um, I got an interview I might send you later from Derek Grace, but I know how you feel about him. But there's a certain part of the interview that's interesting, I should say the least. Where he,
Send it to me. Send me Derek Grace, man. Just do it. You know you want to.
well,
You might as well be affiliate partner, man. Go be affiliate partner, man.
oh
I
my
might buy a
goodness.
book off of him because of you.
In short, he got into a gunfight and was very chill about it. In fact, too chill. Yes.
Yes, I love it. Oh man, Mr.
Um,
Benja.
So yeah, that's that. So thank you all for listening to us catch up on what we did for the week. I think it's a good way to start. This podcast, just giving people a little community who we are and whatnot, and our angles on things. But we do have comments to talk about. You want to get into some comments, Theo?
Let's do it, man.
So yeah, we love when y'all add comments and let us know what we're talking about, because a lot of times we don't know what we're talking about, because so much information is going on. You guys have a lot of information on stuff, so let's have a conversation. First of all, let's go with Max Exodus. He replied on the Him trailer. Like the way you guys look into the little details. Great job. Yeah, a lot of we started doing the trailer thing, and a lot of the conversation around what's in a trailer. Is it part of the story now? We think it is, and Hollywood's rolling these trailers out in certain ways, and it's not just Hollywood, I guess. Video game companies, everybody has to have a trailer, everybody has to have their brand, and we start to look into, okay, what are they serving us in this trailer? What are they trying to say before we actually get the full meal? And that's taken me to look at trailers in a different way than I did before. So, uh, yeah, I don't know. Trailer details. What do you think about that, Theo?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, thank you for the comment. I think we try to think about it holistically. Obviously, Mr. Benja has a background, from an artistry standpoint, the game development, so he understands, what color schemes, what kind of angles are going with the story wise and all that. And I'm coming from the business aspect and looking at it like, what's the brand? What are they trying to say about this? If it's part of a franchise, how's this extending that franchise? What's their projection on how it's positioning itself in the marketplace? And so, it really becomes that these trailers are become a microcosm of kind of what we do here at Show versus Business, right? And so I think that is why we want to kind of get into the details of what our projections could be from a financial standpoint, but also from, um, from the artistry side of things. And if you go to other, there's other folks that do some of that, but they either do it by themselves, right, or they do such a small subset of, of one or the other. So I think having us both on that gives us a little leg up.
Get a leg up. I'm not even sure what leg up means.
Well, just
I, I
an advantage, unfair advantage, basically.
no, I mean I know what it means, like in terms of breaking it down, but I'm like, leg up. Are you climbing over each other, and your leg ends up on top of somebody else's face?
It's probably some English thing, a German thing that some immigrant brought over, and it caught in the lexicon, just like stuff that we say all the time just gets caught up some kind of way. So it made sense at the time. Now, to your point, we don't know where this came from.
Part of me was thinking about it. Had to do with lifting your leg to pee on somebody below you, but get
Well,
a
guess
leg
what?
up on them. Oh,
Oh, well, guess what? We got this marvelous thing. Where did the phrase "to get a leg up" come from? So, the idiom "get a leg up" originated from horseback riding. It refers to the act of someone helping another person mount a horse by providing a boost to their leg, giving them a lift into the saddle. So,
did you search Google for that?
I did, and the AI overview was the first thing I read.
So I did a Google search while you were doing that, and it gave me a very similar one, but it did not give me the exact same thing.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, interesting. Very very similar in wording, like
Yeah.
the way you said it. But I'm starting to just wonder how much processing they're doing to give custom answers based on what
Well,
we say.
we know large language models, they're predictive models. They're just putting words together. That makes
Yeah.
sense. And so at the time I asked, but then again, you got to think, I asked it maybe a different way than you asked, right? And so
hmm
maybe the way you asked it made it come up with those word combinations. that made
Yeah.
sense for it. So anyway, it's not really thinking, as we all know. It's just basically predicting what should be said here.
Hey, I don't know, man. Back in the late '90s, that they were talking about the Dreamcast is thinking. So
Oh,
maybe it is
interesting.
thinking.
Hey, real
It's
quick, I
thinking.
know quick shout out to the AI. I know we maybe go do an AI podcast later on, but I wanted to just bring this up. I sent you a podcast I listened to. It's from the Bulwark. There's this, kind of conservative think tank, and
Yeah.
they're trying to put some content out there. They had a author who wrote a book on OpenAI, the company that's coming up with the most of the AI innovations right now.
Hmm.
And it was interesting. She made a good point. I got to look who that author was, but she made a good point. Before ChatGPT 3.0 or came out, the chatbot that changed everything, people for a long time for AI, people didn't really have a clear definition of what human intelligence really was. So something that was artificial intelligent, they were just, making up stuff. So there were all kinds of research in different directions going to what if you just create something that could be like a human where we just gather information and come up with its own kind of intelligence over time,
Okay.
or there could have been a way we could have built it where we could create a study lab where all the great experts would feed it information. You would pay these experts to kind of feed it the great information to come up with its own inference and this decision making.
Hmm.
But because ChatGPT with their large language model figured a way to just suck up everything from the internet, so you don't have to pay nobody, that became the de facto way of how we're defining AI now. And so
Yeah.
all those other methods are gone. And we're focused exclusively on sucking as much data from people as fast as possible to make these things more intelligent. So I thought
Yeah.
that was interesting how one little change in history, if that ChatGPT moment didn't happen, would we be thinking about AI totally different now, several years later?
Exactly.
So I
Yeah.
digress.
Sucking up all the data. All right.
Yep, for free.
You got a comment?
Yeah, yeah. I at Michael 7582, he gave a comment on our trailer reaction to Highest to Lowest. They said the movie looks interesting with two great actors and a great director. Denzel and Jeffrey are top tier actors. Spike Lee has been praising ASAP Rocky's performance in this movie. Yeah, I agree. Denzel Washington, Jeffrey Wright, definitely two great actors. Denzel, top tier actor of all time. Jeffrey Wright, anything he's in is always very interesting. Um, I would say ASAP Rocky, sure. He's a rapper, going down that path. So I'm sure. And then Spike Lee joint, doing his thing. And the interesting thing, this Highest to the Lowest is based on the Japanese cinema, right? And so
Hmm.
it's going to be interesting. Spike Lee did that before. He did it with what was that
Old boy.
movie? Yeah, Old Boy. Is it Old Boy? Yeah, he did it with Old Boy. So it's kind of interesting. I didn't see. Did you see that version of his Spike Lee's?
No, I've seen the original version,
Yeah,
and
same here.
I started to. I think one of the things I started to stream, and then I was like, "Let me cancel this before I," you know.
Yeah.
I just never got around to it.
Yeah, I don't know why Spike Lee did that. It's maybe the money was good because you don't remake a classic like that. That movie is so iconic in so many different ways, from twist to the octopus eating scene to the fight in the hallway. It just
Let me ask you this: do you have a thing against something that's older, like it's or do you? Because a lot of people, I'm noticing a lot of people when they watch something, they're like they don't want to see the old version simply because it's old, and the way they view like cinema and whatever, it's like, well, the idioms, the photography, cinematography, the clothing and everything is old, not a date, and they want to watch the current version of whatever story you're trying to tell. But with me, I'm like, no, I actually want to watch the old version because that's where it originated. That's where it came from. Um, so, like, I'll watch old. Somebody caught me watching old black and white movies, and they're like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "Oh, well, this is the inspiration for such and such. I'm just going to watch this. I need to understand where it came from." And I didn't realize some people had such an aversion to like, the sound quality's terrible. I'm like, that's not the point to me. But I don't know.
yeah, I'm not unopposed to watching older films. I do feel like sometimes they're a little slow for me, because we're so used
Hmm.
to the editing style and cutting style, but it's so fascinating because I can find so many things in those older movies. Like sometimes I'll find actors now that were nobodies back then, or somebody, or that's still acting today. I'm like, oh wow, look
Hmm.
how young they look,
Yeah.
or or like certain phrases, quotes that we say today. I say, oh, well, that's where that came from, right?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of interesting to kind of look back at those older movies to kind of get, especially the classic ones, right? I'm just saying that just trying to remake some of those classic movies is tough, right? And so
Yeah.
when Spike Lee tried to do that, it became and I think because Old Boy was such iconic, right? Now I've seen ones. There was a vampire movie called Let the Right One In. I think it was a it's a vampire movie. Spoiler alert, but it came out like maybe 10 years ago, but or 15 years ago now. But then the remake was like only 5 years after the original, which I think was fine because it wasn't a classic yet. So because it was like kind of like what they do like well before Netflix, of course. Remember they would have all these TV shows that were or movies that
Hmm.
were made overseas in different countries. They bring it here and they put the American spin on it. So that's pretty much what they were doing with some of these movies out in other countries. But yeah, but old boy, I guess uh, Spike Lee or the I forgot who the company was, it Paramount or Warner Brothers, who decided to release it, probably didn't take into account that this movie is so iconic that you shouldn't touch it at all.
Right.
If you so anyway, so I think that was my concern with it. But to the commenter's point, I think great actor Spike Lee, super excited to see where this goes, and so yeah, it's hopefully it comes out soon. So we'll let you guys
Yeah.
know when we see it.
See, now I'm wondering if I should watch the original before this one.
I wouldn't.
Hmm.
I'm gonna watch this one first because it'll
Yeah, you're
mess
probably
me
right.
up.
You're probably right. All right. And a real quick comment from French Toast for Life. Says, "Hey, brothers, both. Hey, me and you. I hear rumor about John Cena wanting to become a Terminator in the new movie. Uh, I did not actually know that. Didn't hear that rumor until you mentioned it. So I looked it up, and yes, Terminator franchise is reportedly eyeing John Cena and Margot Robbie. Interesting. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I could. If John Cena is the Terminator, I'm not sure if I could take him seriously though. That was my first thought. Could be great. Could be whatever. Or now, if Margot Robbie was the Terminator, that'd be interesting.
That would be
But I have
interesting.
no idea what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, what made the original so iconic was we didn't know who Arnold Schwarzenegger was, right? So he had
Right.
the physique, and John Cena has a physique. Yeah, sure, but that what also made it because he was a blank slate, so we just didn't know what was going to happen. So I think John Cena would perfectly be miscast in this. He would not be the right role as a Terminator. Now, to your point, they switched it around and made it. They did that before. It didn't do well. There was a female Terminator, I think, in one of
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
movies. But this is we talked about this. Maybe we need to do IP index and kind of gauge where these franchises are on the IP index. We talked about Tron. Is a six on the IP. The show versus business IP
Yeah.
index. But Terminator as a franchise, man, they're trying so hard, man. They can make this thing a thing. I mean, the first two, yes. After that, I can't remember one. And they had some good actors in it. They had Christian Bale, Batman on. They had the Game of Thrones actor. What's her name? Emma Clark. Try to do it. So they just can't, you know, get it right.
I think the or one of the hard issues that may have come from it creatively is that you're constantly sending people in a situation. I mean, it's hard to break out of the format of there's somebody in the past and some clowns from the future come in and start messing up their life, and then something gets resolved, and then years later it's like, well, they're trying again. Send us something. It's just the same kind of format, and within any
Mhm.
given story, how do you tell something fresh, advance it, and still remain true to the fact that some clown is sending stuff from the future? It's almost like zombies at this point. Instead of people rising around and biting each other, you've just got fools coming in from electric bubbles and trying to kill everybody. So it's like, how do you advance that? And this is something generally that's hard with horror, unless you have a kind of, I don't want to say a story. I mean, obviously you have a story, but unless you have something that encapsulates the central fear item in a horror movie, it's going to get old quickly. Like we were talking about with Final Destination, the fact that there's a story about it, a curse in the family. It's like, can we break this curse and all that? So,
Well, I think they've been replaced, man, by Megan 2.0.
oh, right. That's right.
I mean, think about it. This is we're in the AI age. This is where we are right now, and so there's a lot of AI anxiety right now, and that played to it, in the 80s, right, when it was like such a futuristic concept. Oh, AI robots gonna kill us. Guess what? Maybe not be too far fetched. So we are in the Skynet future right now, and so any day now, right? And so I don't know, is it because we're too close to it, or maybe they need to reshape the franchise to better react our reality. So I don't know. So we'll see. It's interesting.
Yeah. To put it in terms of the video game, there is no Resident Evil. It just keeps on coming through the portal and showing up.
Hmm.
Um, you know, one of the things about Resident Evil, great title by the way, is that it's not the zombies so much as it is crazy people in society starting to do stuff, and that's the problem.
Hmm.
Like, so if there was some crazy people always trying to do something with this technology, I'm sure there is somewhere in the story that kind of poked at this, but it really doesn't give the essence of what Terminator could be. All this to say, we love this franchise, and if John Cena comes out looking all corny as a Terminator, you bombed again. That's all I'm saying. I'm done. I'm done with that.
Yeah. And guys, look, thank you for your comments. We're definitely going to build a community around some of the things that we talk about. So please keep them coming. So appreciate it.
All right. I still have a headache from last night. It was so much information, dog. So Streamer University. Let me just jump to it. We need to put a chapter mark here because people want to jump to this. Streamer University with Kai Cenat and Twitch. Theo, do you know what this is in general? What do you know? Let me ask that question.
No, Kai Cenat, obviously, he's one of the top streamers out there. He gets all the celebrities on his stream. If you don't, I know much enough about streaming Twitch, where basically people are just always on the camera, either playing video games or just doing crazy stuff live. So totally makes sense that someone has a better sense of how to connect with his audience if he's always on. So he's always
Yeah.
getting instant feedback. It's almost like a theater actor gets better as an actor because they're getting
Hmm.
constant feedback versus a TV actor, right, or a movie actor. So a stream actor or a stream performer, if you will, they're probably getting better and better at how to keep you engaged, keep you
Yeah.
talking, and all that. So it does make sense to me. It just seems like a lot, to do, but I get a sense of that. So yeah, so that's my understanding of it. It's just, these guys are putting together content that is always on, and that can seem a little dystopian to me because I want to live my life and do other things beyond just watching someone entertain me and then finding ways to keep hooking me to stay on the
Yeah.
streaming platform. So anyway, so that's just my 2 cents on it. But yes, I'm familiar with Kai Cenat and streaming, but not Streamer University till you told me.
Yeah. So this is funny because what was put out there a while ago, I kind of glanced at the headlines and I thought I knew what was coming. I was like, oh, okay. Um, Kai Cenat is doing this Streamer University thing. So what I
What was your
thought
thought? Yeah, yeah. What was your thought?
exactly what I thought actually lines up with, because I heard about it maybe a little over a week ago, and then getting closer to it, I heard it again. So what I had in my head is what I decided to search, like around sometime last week, and I said, "What is Streamer University?" I really quickly just wanted to, because I haven't been keeping up with Kai and the streamers lately, and this definition that comes back from the news sites, the blogs and everything, the old media. basically says Streamer University, a concept created by popular Twitch streamer Kai Cenat, is a program that brings together content creators at a college campus for a weekend long event. The goal is to provide a platform for up and coming streamers to showcase their talents, connect with other, and it makes it sound like, yeah, whatever, they're just going to sit around and talk. No, no. This is next level content creation. Um, I don't know if you ever knew about the streamers who all get together in one house where they're all streaming
Mhm.
at the same. Bro, this thing is some next level acting, improv, comedy, influencing, streaming, new media, like reality TV, uh, sponsorships, um, people getting into arguments, fights, clicking up, hooking up, romance. You've got a couple people with, links to their their clothing, their entrepreneurial things, and then some people are linking to like their OnlyFans content or their
Mm.
yes, little spicy bits in there if you actually they didn't do anything blatant, but if you kind of look around, there's some spiciness in there. I'm like, what? Anyway, you get 150 people together and basically say this is the network effect on steroids. Normally it's like, hey, I'm going to have a TV show, I'm going to talk about X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, 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 I am going to bring in 150 people, all with camera crews. And when I say camera crews, I mean iPhone crews, with streaming crews. We're going to start doing improvs, we're going to start uh, filming each other, we're going to start recording, and we're going to start reacting to each other. So if you've ever seen the graph of, like, you have one point here and one point here, and there's just one connection between them, that's old school, where it's like, I'm a provider, I'm a listener, and it goes one way. Then all of a
Mhm.
sudden you have the idea in mathematics of something going two ways, where it doesn't just go from the audience, I mean, from the developer to the audience, it goes from the audience to the developer, and they both have the shared relationship. It goes back and forth. We thought that was groundbreaking. So what if you had a third person in there, and all of a sudden you see, oh, now you have all these different links coming together? Basically, this is a huge, recursive, exponential connection of intelligence and um, things happening. I said intelligence in terms of like the neural network. It's one big thought kind of thing going on. But there was one of the streamers actually said, you know, was actually offline, not offline, but not connected to anyone else in her dorm room, just like, this is such low intelligence work. I don't believe I'm doing part of this, and da 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 da. But it's just this wild storm of content going back and forth, and people reacting to reactions, and people making content about the reactions, and doing it in 3 days at a university campus. I swear to you, I've never seen anything like this. And I rabbit holed, man. I was on X, I was on, a little TikTok, I was on Instagram, I was on YouTube, and the content from these 150 or so people, think about 150 squared connections and all, just going all around, blew my mind. And yes, I have a headache from taking it all in.
Yeah, man. Wow, there's a lot to unpack on there. What you said. So I like how you thought you said the old school way, right? I think we're kind of old school, right? We remember those days. Look, this is going to be a bunch of streamers together. They're going to university, have some seminars, and figure out how they're going to work together, right? That's the old way of thinking about it, right? Just
Yeah.
everybody sitting down, taking notes. Maybe just some comment coming out, some content coming out of it, but nothing, form, nothing that big, right? It's just more like a kind of a seminar, kind of like a conference, right, if
Yeah.
you will.
Hmm.
But no, this is the new school. The new school is we're gonna have a conference, and they may be talking about stuff on the behind the scenes in other areas, right, that we don't know about. But while we're here, we all have comic crews. We're filling content too.
Yeah.
and anybody can film any kind of content, whether it's content you're going to be in, someone else is going to be in. And so you're right. I was doing some, I had to go back, brush off my math book here, man. Yeah, you're right. The whole the network effect. So yes, you're right. Adding, in a network of end users, right, the value of each connection is generally considered to be the same. But what happens is when you start adding, n plus one additional users, that becomes a value of squared, to your point. So the example they gave here, if you have a network with 200 users, so you got 150 of these folks around, there are 19,900 potential connections, right?
Hmm.
But when you add just one more user, the number of connections increases to over 200,000. So you
Yes,
just so you score so one, so now you're adding just these one more connection. So to your point, you're getting vastly number of different angles, different storylines, multiple storylines in one video at the same time, and then trying to track them all. If you try to track one storyline, you get stymied and go off on a different storyline, right, based on the people
yeah,
you're following. So I can see why you got a headache.
bro. It was fascinating. Like there are all these people, right? Just in a room arguing, not so much arguing, but they're having some discussion about something, and you could tell they were kind of fishing for what the content of the discussion should be, right? And then they started arguing about some dumbness. It's like, no, you said last week that you were going to do this and that. It's like I didn't say anything like that. Such and such said that. No, it was you. And it got into one of those kind of weird things. And then I saw a guy in the back just like pick up his phone and like, man, y'all stupid. I'm going to go. I'm going to leave. And then in the chat, I saw his name. It's like, this person, man, he always leaves and da da da. I'm like, who is that? I search on Twitch, find that guy. I go to his stream. On his stream, he's just walking down the hallway. Man, they talking all this stupid shit. I didn't know this and that. So now I'm going down this guy's path. Mind you, I've still got the other window open. So I'm hearing both audio streams of this guy complaining about them and them still arguing. He's going down the hall. He goes in his room. On his stream, he decides to watch other people's streams to see what's going on at the rest of Streamer University. So this guy who is dejected goes to his room, opens up his stream, opens up like four windows of other people that are streaming, and I'm watching him watch four other people, and I'm still listening to the first group of people arguing about what he didn't care about anymore. So I'm just fascinated. I'm like, my internet connection is bogging down because I've got so many Twitch streams open. And yeah, somebody comes in the room and they're like, hey, did y'all see what happened to such and such? I'm like, oh, he got hurt? What happened? And I search that person's name. You could go, they're like on the track. Somebody decided to have a race, right? So they I cut to the track. It's I don't want to say low level content, but it's just very basic, but there's just so much of it.
Yeah.
It's not highly produced. It's not like really deep thinking. It's just a lot to keep track of.
I wonder, are we hitting the upper limit though? This will test that out. Upper limit of how many people you keep engaged on these type of content level. I mean, it's genius because if we can create a network effect with people, you can create more content. Because I think they're going to run it. This is my big grand prediction for influencers. AI will replace them, right? And so the only way you stay ahead of AI is you create so much massive community. Well, I thought I was gonna write this down. See, that's why we gotta write stuff down, Mr. Pitcher, because I had this idea. I said the way
Yes.
you stay abreast above AI is have a product ecosystem. So basically, yeah, write it down, guys. This is notes from above. Have a product ecosystem. Basically, oversubscribed. The writer of Oversubscribed talks about this. Basically, they have different product levels. So yes, you get one piece. Somebody can copy your book, but can they copy
Hmm.
your service, or can they copy your product? So those are things you have a suite of products that all work well together, right? So they can kind of stay in
Hmm.
your ecosystem. And the other way is community. If you have a community of folks that either you create content with, or community of people that just love the content you create, that can maybe stave off AI generation. Because so to your point, my whole point is saying that I understand why I need to kind of create so much content to kind of stave off the AI generation of content that's coming. And if they can do that, that's great. But I do feel like there's going to be an upper limit, because I'm looking as a parent, right? So I have young
Mhm,
kids and stuff, and all the parents I talk to, we're seeing where this is going, right? And obviously, there's always talk of banning TikTok, right, in schools. Kids not longer having phone in
mhm,
schools. So I do feel like there's going to be a backlash to all this, where the kids, yes, they're going to be on the internet, have their Snapchats and stuff like that, but it's going to be very downplayed. They're not going to be as ingrained in the content like we are, or what the well, my kids are more like Gen Z, young Gen Z. I think millennials and older Gen Zs, they're gone. This is what they're going to see for the next, for the rest of their lives, right? This is
yeah.
how they grew up. This is all they know. Just like you and I, we know TV and movies. Gen Z and younger millennials, they understand this stuff. But I think kids younger than that, this is not where they're going, because it's just too much. It's overwhelming human senses. You don't have time to do anything. And then we're going to have to kind of rephrase what it means to kind of, because the ones who can stay away from that, I think, we see it with stoicism, the rise of stoicism, focused on what you can control, things like that. I
Mhm.
think what we're going to see a backlash to this, because this is too much. I mean, you're someone who's very capable, and you're saying this is way too much slop out there. It's
Well,
just, and it's not beneficial for anything.
you know what? People were arguing about the idea of too much content, and they're like, well, so just sit down, have a cup of tea, watch a 3 hour Scorsese movie or something like that, and it's like, yeah, but I Show Speed is streaming right now, and this guy, you know, Coco Nada just showed up in the stream too, and I got to see what they're doing. I mean, that's kind of more entertaining. So I don't know if I don't know if this idea of it being too much, it's just shifted. So instead of one big block of time, with 3 hours of watching something very deeply, okay, now switch that over to um, you know a bunch of 30-second clips that have been created. In fact, you know how in a lot of movies and shows they always talked about the even you saw this in Back to the Future too, where when they turned on the television, instead of one screen showing something, there were a wall of a wall of monitors or just a bunch of split
Hmm.
screens where you could see everything going on at once. Multiple people had that going on, and I had an inkling of that going on when I had three windows of Twitch open, just kind of watching back and
Good
forth.
point.
And I think this is just it's opening up this new level of hey, maybe we've been saying the idea of going back to the community, that's coming back, maybe not in the way we think though. So instead of the community going out somewhere, it's like get a bunch of people together, we all start streaming and connecting our experience, and suddenly it's like we're all connected and going out, but that just means we're all connected, and maybe not in a chat room, but maybe there's a way in the future that we're going to start talking to each other, um, sharing information. Like, I don't know if you've ever been on a big shared information whiteboard, or a
Hmm.
big, you know, I don't even want to say group chat because that seems outdated, but yeah, just a big, group chat of like everybody's, showing their information. We're at a E3 or some event, the Comic Con, and people are just sending photos of, hey, I'm over here, I'm over here. Here's a video of this and that. It's this crazy group chat. That's linear. How and
Mm-hmm.
that can be flattened. That can be
Hmm.
made into this new thing that I don't think we have a term for. And I with this and things like this have been done before, like streaming university. Um, let's be clear about that. But the level at which this is done, it's clearly going to be a part of the future that's coming up. I don't know in what way. I don't know how we connect to TV anymore. I don't know how human we are anymore. Uh,
You basically, this weekend has watching Streamer University has questioned the whole human existence, what it means to create meaning around this thing we call life. If this is our art, in other words, right? Art used to be a way we understood how our life was living, right? We watch a painting, oh yeah, I feel anger, right? Or I
Yeah.
understand that story. We create meaning around circumstances, but now there's no meaning. It's just circumstances and just getting dopamine hits to find out what's going to happen next, as opposed to how does this relate. I mean, if watching this guy complain, seeing these people argue, is that enlightening you about what it means to be human, I guess?
Well, to me, I'm thinking that, well, okay, so, we're talking about the network effect and all that. And if you have a concept of like the cell phone where, you have to make it valuable on its own. So people would play games by themselves, they would watch videos by themselves, they
Mhm.
would do all the stuff by themselves. And the value was in the thing by itself. Now, at a certain point, you start to cross over into this new level where you're no longer valuable by yourself. You're only valuable
Mm.
if you are a part of the networked system. So anything I watch, it doesn't. Let's imagine a situation where anything I watch or consume will not have value unless it's connected to the network. You're like, well, how does that make?
Ooh.
You're like, well, how does that make
Wow.
sense? And it's like, well, what value is knowing what the weather is going to be if you're not going outside? Well, people talk about the weather because it affects everybody else. It's like, well, hey, if there's a snowstorm, then I'm not going to get my food. I won't be able to order out. You start to talk to your cousin. It's like, hey, are you coming over this weekend? No, it's a snowstorm. So weather is naturally a social kind of discussion. Now imagine everything becoming a social discussion where it has no value unless it's part of the network. That's what I'm
Mm.
getting at.
Okay, so you're conflating the reason why we need certain pieces of data because it affects other pieces, like the weather example you gave, but the social media, I mean the network effect of it all, that could have more value and meaning just to being part of that, because your conversation in a vacuum won't have any relevance, is basically the argument there. Is that correct?
Yes. And I think that's how we stay a step ahead of, you know, pure value for the sake of value. It's like, well, if I'm by myself, should I eat a should I eat pasta or should I eat um, you know, curry rice?
Hmm.
If I'm by myself, I have that decision, right?
Hmm.
If I'm in a group of international friends and they're all from India, it's like, hey guys, let's have pasta. They're all going to look at me like, dude, we eat curry rice here. It's like, oh
Hmm.
yeah. So all of a sudden the network decides what I eat, and all of a sudden the value is in the fact that I'm with all these.
But that's scary. Then what's the individual agency, right? That's taken away then at that point, because now you're part of a hive mind, that you always see, where it's just like, "Oh, this is what I wear, this is what I do, because I'm part of the network." So, well, let me just put this out here, and guys, we're getting deep here. This is too deep. Let us know. But yeah, so let's table this for discussion later. I just want to bring this point up, though, Mr. Benja, in the interest of time. What if there's a way, the technology, this is the excited part I got, the technology would be a way that you can't follow this humanly possible, all these different storylines, but what if there's technology that can follow it for you? And then later on, you can go back and find out, okay, I want to follow this guy's storyline for the last, 24 hours. Can I pull that piece out and find out what happened? So can there be like real time editing, right, to kind of pull that section out? Because let's say I'm interested in all these, just like we talk about, like I have so many ideas sometimes I can't keep up with them. So I write them down to go back to later. Well, there's a way we can do that with this content. It's going to be so much content, so many different. If we create these network effect storytelling techniques, can we create real time editing? So, let's say you want to find out, like right now, I'm sure that guy you may be interested in find out what happened, or that track guy that got hurt. What happened here? Can you tell me what happened in the last 24 hours with that storyline? Now I can see that being, more meaningful, because now it's a true story, beginning, middle, and end. Right now, all we are is just entering the second acts, right? There's no true beginning, there's no true ending. It's just all stuff in the second act where it's just like things are happening. But why is it happening, right? Because it started he left the he left that audience, because they were tripping and he wanted to do his own thing. So, and there's no ending because he's got to create content.
Here's what's amazing: that whole story was framed around the fact that I thought that one guy in the back leaving was interesting.
Hmm.
Somebody else may have been like focused on any of the other people having the argument or right there, and they may have gone down their own rabbit holes of, well, wait, why is such and such arguing in the first place, or why are these two people choosing sides? And it reminds me of how we used to think about these new video game stories that we're telling, like,
Hmm.
with multiple endings. And you ask one person when they play GTA, hey, well, how was it to you? Well, I went here and did this, and I pretty much just built up some my casinos and clubs, and that's my story of the game. Talk to somebody else, it's like, oh yeah, I became a mobster. I was going around as a hitman, and that my story of the game is that I'm a hitman, and nobody has an idea of what the story is. They just look at this big series of data points and connect their own dots.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
So that's my big takeaway from Streaming University. That um, you know all these individual influencers and whatever have brand deals. Some of them are going to be selling you makeup. Some of them are going to be selling you energy drinks. Some of them are going to be selling you their spicy content. Um, a lot of them are uh, like teachers. But the artistry in this to me was just the way it was set up, where you have somebody who's very good at, there's like cooking with Kaya. I don't know if you've ever seen Cooking with Kaya. I don't know if you've ever
No.
seen her,
No.
but she held a cooking class, and people came to the class and were, doing the dance and everything. So it was content at the same time as it was actually teaching people. At the same time, it was just so many angles, man.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to shout out to um, DC, was it RDC World? They not included, and they're a big streamer in their own right. They do a
Mhm.
lot of sports content. Matter of fact, I think they're on commercials now, so they're stepping up their game. So I noticed they weren't part of this, and I'm sure there were probably bigger streamers that also weren't a part of this. Right? This is probably folks, just below Kai Cenat, level to kind of see what they can do, which is smart. So if he's
Yeah.
putting 100 so he's getting bigger than all the other streamers by creating this network effect. So on
Yes.
his side,
Yes.
I think
He's
that's
definitely at the
huge.
top of that.
Yeah, and he's probably going to be bigger than Mr. Beast. That's my prediction
Who
potentially if
made a
he keeps.
cameo?
He did. He's
Yes,
knows.
Mr.
He
Beast
knows.
made a
He
cameo.
knows where his butter's bread's butteries. Oh, this guy's coming. He's coming for the crown, man. I got to step in there.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Beast is he on streaming a lot? Maybe every so often, because he does.
Streaming, not so much. He
Yeah,
generally does his productions,
yeah.
and
But
they've become a thing. But he showed up and basically gave $10,000 briefcase to Kai Cenat and was like, "Hey, somebody, one of your streamers here is going to have this," and he made a whole thing about
yeah, of
giving away the
course.
money and all that. Again,
Of course, that's his brand. But yeah, man. I mean, Castanite is definitely coming strong for that crown, man. When it comes to who's moving the internet, because streaming looks like, to your point, is moving in that direction. And you made a good point. I was just saying, hey, true art. I think we're talking about two different things, and we'll get move on here. You were talking about like the time spent with the art. It can be time shifted, right? Yes, I could watch a 3 hour, Goodfellas movie, or I can watch, this guy, f around and find out right about stuff, right? So it's just time shifted. I just said though, in my opinion though, I think the time that's spent with some of the more interesting content creates more meaning. That's all, right? I do feel like there is more um meaningfulness that can come out of that kind of content versus, now I'm just saying all the times, but some of the
yeah,
stuff I'm seeing with Kaisen, I don't think it's as meaningful for the human
Oh,
experience, you know.
yeah. I didn't want to make that kind of value judgment on what's interesting to somebody, what's educational, what's
I
meaningful,
will.
what's.
I will. I don't care. I will. This is, in my
I mean,
opinion, yes, no, it's not.
as I said, I think the value comes from not necessarily the thing, just the fact that the thing is connected to another thing.
Yeah.
And so
But
yeah,
it's just like,
it's.
okay, where are you is it providing insight into the human experience? You know, are you feeling something that you can relate to or can kind of bring back to I don't get that. So now, Cooking with Kai, you're right. The teachers that do stuff on there, yes, absolutely, they're bringing some value there, right? If you know, or Mr. Beast, if he does a class on how to go viral on YouTube or something like that, you know. Now, to your point, Kent, does art have to? I mean, that's the other debate,
Well,
right?
no,
Does art have to enrich your life? You know, if it could just be art, can art exist on its own without having to create any meaning, right? I mean, is that the argument there sometimes?
if you were to sit me down and show me 9 hours of, and I guess I've done this in some cases where I've watched, listened to 9 hours of podcasts and all this, you know, how to get famous, make sure you put your brand out there and this and that. Or I could watch 9 hours of different streamers connected. And actually, I think this gets back to Gary Vee's point. In a lot of ways, you just have to jump in there and find out what the hell is going on. Like
Hmm.
what makes these people, what gets them excited? What are their commenters talking about? What are they, what gets shared? What ends up on YouTube is different content than what ended up on X, which is different content than what ended up on TikTok. So I totally get your point where it's like, you remember Gary Vee's quote where he was like, I don't read books, I read the comments.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't meant to say books are done or whatever, but he's like, no, I know what's going on with the people because I'm out there with the people. Now, do the people know what they're talking about? No.
Yeah. Well,
So
I'm not saying that people are stupid. I mean, look, people, I mean, we're reading comments too, right, on this. I mean, I think that guides what you're doing. I mean, because look, we could have me and you could have this conversation on the phone, right? We've had for decades, right? Just have conversation. So why do we put it on the out in the media, right? Because we want an audience, right? And the audience does enhance our conversations. I do believe that. So I agree. I think reading comments and stuff and having it for art out there for public consumption is important. Now, to your point, maybe the comments that are coming in has guided Kai Cenat and his team to go this direction because this is what people wanted. So I don't know. Maybe they saw enough comments and they kind of judged that and then over time have evolved this style that I may feel is slop, but his audience does not. So there you
it's
go.
so
And
fun.
you're right. So I think that's a fair point. I mean, I don't think it's art, but then his audience does because they're the ones who are commenting, and I'm assuming he's listening to them to create the content that they want, right? Just like Tyler Perry. This might be a segue to our trailer section, but Tyler Perry, he has an art style that I don't agree with. I don't know if you agree with, but he's got an audience, and so who am I to argue with that? So yeah.
Yeah, we could go on this forever, and there are so many different angles to this. The inshitification of technology, AI slop is a big one. Um, content for the sake of content, always being on, curate nothing. There's so many different angles, and a lot's out there. Ladies and gentlemen, just don't get lost in the sauce. Keep your creativity up and uh, keep your business up and make it happen.
I love
Speaking of
it.
somebody keeping their business up, you want to do some trailers now, or you got anything
Let's
else to say?
do it, man. Let's do it.
All right, so upcoming, we've got three separate trailers at least that we're going to do. Yeah, we'll cut it off at three. I think we'll just go through them quickly. Got Ironheart, Straw with Tyler Perry, and I think we'll do Murderbot. But anyway, let's get into it. You queued up with the Ironheart right now?
Let's go.
All right, so this is Marvel Television's Ironheart, the official trailer, and we're gonna start it right now.
know. Let them know.
For real.
First vehicle.
Welcome, Riri. In less than 3 minutes, the air in this elevator will no longer be breathable.
Oh, what is this?
Your interview. You'll suffocate and die unless you break into the device on the floor, where you'll find a gas mask. Good luck.
Screw this.
I heard Riri Williams was a genius. So you in or out? Riri, I see you. I see you're fed up, waiting to be acknowledged for your greatness.
You are not the first genius at MIT.
How come you're not working at one of those fancy tech firms?
After my internship abroad, I want to build something undeniable, something
Important?
iconic.
It's a brand new
I can give you the tools to help you carry out your vision. But anyone who's ever accomplished anything iconic in life has had to do some questionable things to get it done. What will you do, Riri?
You've bitten off a hell of a lot more than you can chew. I could chew a lot.
You know nothing about this man.
You're gonna end up dead or in jail.
This is so much bigger than that.
This is wild. A shady bunker.
My bunker's not shady. Would a shady bunker have that on the wall?
It's literally above a crate of self-guided missiles.
I'm returning those.
All right,
Mr.
wait, I heard a chuckle there. What does that mean?
Mr. Benja. Yeah, Riri up in his house.
You okay? You're into it. Go on, talk.
Well, middling. I mean, it's about what I expected. I didn't see anything earth shattering here. But I like the actress, I like the character, even like the villain. I kind of remember him from Marvel days, the Red Hood.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you know about that guy. He's something they created in the last 15 years at Marvel. He's kind of like the low level villain. They kind of actually turned him up a little bit higher in the last couple of years. But he actually had his own comic for a second. Just a regular guy, got a red hood. Make him
Nice.
invisible. Yeah, and he got guns. I mean, it's just like it was basic. All of a sudden, some mystical crap got in there, and now all of a sudden he's doing all this crazy stuff. So yeah, Marvel, man, they're villains. But yeah, I mean, from the business standpoint, just trying to develop this. Obviously, this is already probably getting some damper in the webosphere, the whole wokeification of the Marvel MCU, right? Here's
Hmm.
a replacement for Iron Man, who's a black female, right? Sure,
Yeah.
whatever. But she was introducing, to be fair, and Wakanda Forever, but Black Panther. But I think there could be some pushback to it from a marketing standpoint. But I'm all there for it. It's always good to have different storylines and expand upon that. But we saw how well that went with the Jedi over at not Ashoka so much, but really the Acolyte, right? That got kind of stymied a little bit. So we'll
Well,
see.
even from Wakanda Forever, which was, hey, we have T'Challa here, and now we're gonna pass the mantle on to his sister, kind of thing.
Mhm.
So even with that, there's that kind of vibe of, at least in the public discourse and the way they market it.
Mhm.
I thought it was cool. I just wonder once again, like I said before, and about this the way they're presenting, hey, I'm a new character. I'm not just this other character with that same power set or whatever. And I've had a problem with that in terms of like, hey, these characters need to be strong with their identity. You can't just be, hey, I'm just put the same mask on somebody else or the same armor on somebody else. It's like there's more to these characters and heroes than that, and I don't want to see them just flub it,
Yeah.
flub.
Yeah, just put, quote unquote, a different face to the same character, if you will. But you know what? I mean, Miles Morales, he was one of the first big ones that really kind of hit it big, and he's become his own thing over time,
Yeah.
which was, even his name's alliteration, right? M, right? Just like Peter Parker, PMP. So, but
Mm-hmm.
Miles has become his own thing over time, and he's, half black, half Latino. And so, but he has different power sets, right? And so but it's just hard. I haven't seen Marvel do that with anyone else that on that level. Now Iron Man has become a thing because of the MCU. Look, guys, truth be told, Iron Man was never a thing really in the comics like that. Let's be honest. It was only because of Robert Downey Jr. that he became a thing in MC
Yeah.
ever. The biggest problem he had was drinking. Let's be honest, guys, in the comic books. But so now he's so beloved that having anybody even sniff near his power set and what he does that doesn't look like him uh, is looking for some smoke potentially. So unfortunately,
Yeah. What I did like about this is that um, the very beginning they they MacGyvered. And I actually wonder why it took so long to get this trailer in the first place. The show is coming out in like a month,
mm-hmm.
and we haven't really heard much of anything until this trailer. So maybe that's part of the strategy. Just like, hey, just get it out there quickly, hit them fast and hard, so they don't have too much time to think. But speaking of thinking, I really like the way they set this up with, hey, here's a cheesy little trap, and it's like, listen, we've been through that before. I'm about to MacGyver this thing. If you don't know who
Mm-hmm.
MacGyver is, it's this person that would always think his way through traps and situations. And you know, I've got a tape recorder, two sticks of gum, and a Monopoly board. Watch me, you know, watch me build a working motorcycle. It's like,
I used to stay up. I used to beg my parents to stay up. I used to hate the fact it came on in LA after Monday Night Football. So I
ooh,
would stay up late and I would sneak to watch it, man, because I used to love that show, MacGyver, man. He would always come up with something. Yeah, used to love that show.
so I think that's a very strong angle, and that actually makes me really want to watch this,
Hmm.
just to get more of that MacGyver style. And the suit is clunky because obviously she doesn't have the nanotech and everything. She's just kind of making it work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a good message that could be had there as well. Hey, make it work.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I am digging this. You got any more to say about it?
Grade wise, from a business standpoint, I gotta ding it a little bit. I'm gonna give it like a B minus only because the differentiator is not strong enough yet. To your point, maybe showing her, doing more of those MacGyver things could help. Not just jump into the suit right away. Maybe, but we did see her in the suit in Wakanda Forever, but still, maybe working up to that at the end. Doom, doom, doom. Is this something she's gonna earn? So maybe that would have been a better positioning for this character. But so yeah, B minus. It seemed like passable, but nothing like must see, right?
Yeah. Um, you know what? I actually think I was happier than I thought I would be, instead of I was happy to actually really, really get into any moments of this. Um, Interesting relationship with this guy, MIT. I'm cool with it. I'll give it a straight B plus, B plus. Yeah, I
Okay.
won't give this one a B plus. So
Yeah, I'm
I'm
just
good with
looking at
this.
these
I like
comments.
this.
I always like to get the comments. Someone says before it gets review bombed, I'm gonna just say I'm hyped and this trailer looks sick. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And you know what's funny? This other commenter pointed out this line because they had the line in the trailer that said "iconic," and it says wants to build something iconic, builds another Iron Man suit.
Yeah, there it is.
So
yeah, we're gonna get a lot of that, guys. It's just the climate we're in right now. But yeah, that's why I said they gotta make her stronger as a character, like, that driving force behind, what makes her, and it's sad. It's almost like what happens in real world, right? She has to prove her mettle that she deserves the Iron Man suit. So she's gotta prove it over and over again in every episode so that they can say, okay, yes, she can have it now.
Yeah, and when you say a stronger character, you don't mean strong in terms of power levels. You mean there's more to the character.
Yeah, a true arc, right? What is her arc? Is her dad sick? Ironheart, I don't even know, be honest with you, I don't know enough about the character. I don't even know why she's called Ironheart. Someone's heart broken and she gonna fix it? I don't know. So let's get to that. So hopefully that if they just leave it there and just like, because I used to be a track star and somebody broke my heart. No, wrong direction. Don't do that. So yeah,
and what I don't want to get into is trying to like the character for what it is instead of creating something new and original that could really stand on its own.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the character. Maybe they have enough in that from the comic books. I don't know, but I can tell you right now though, she's way not as popular as Miss Marvel. And even though the TV show, did you see Miss Marvel at all? The TV show?
I did see, yeah.
You can tell that's a strong character, even though I think the show let her down. But that's a strong character, and there was a strong actress to play the character. So
yeah,
I think, and that was all set up in the comic book. So I don't know how strong that character is. When I say strong, there is a likability factor. There is a strong story arc. It's a strong point of view that makes her uniquely different in Kamala Khan as a character. I don't see the same with Riri, at least right now.
Exactly. So
besides the name. Riri girl, where you going, girl?
I always thought Riri was the cutest name.
It's a cute name, Riri, but it's like just call her Becky, man. It's okay.
Yeah, if they had a terrorist on the news and they're talking about some horrible acts and they said the terrorist name is Riri, I'd be like, hold on a second, let's hear her out. It's Riri. So, all right, we're looking forward to this, and I actually might jump back on Disney Plus for this guy.
What? Okay.
Yeah. I'm interested. Still give it a B+ for the trailer. I have no idea what the show is going to be like. For the trailer, B+. Yeah. No, you said
B-. B-. I said B-. Thank you.
Yes, you did. All right. You ready for the next one?
Let's go.
Tyler Perry Straw. All right. Let's see. This is our reaction to Tyler Perry's Straw with Taraji P. Henson, Sherry Shepherd, and Tiana Taylor, starting right now. Hello, Netflix.
I didn't mean to do this.
Set it off.
Something inside of me broke. I told them
I need my money to get my daughter's medicine. She's sick.
I just need to cash my check, that's all.
No, girl!
Please, come on now. I just want to do what's right for my baby. Lock the door. Tell him close the blinds. We need to figure this out. I don't want you to get hurt. I got put out today. We have nowhere to live.
Robbed me. I need it for my daughter.
You want to kill me? You want to blame me for robbing this bank and I didn't do it? You can't help me. Nobody ever helps me.
This is bad, Janaya.
This is not your average bank robbery.
This is about giving her a chance.
Seems like you had a lot to get over today.
Oh man, Tyler Perry's as subtle as a rock falling on your head, man.
Oh,
Straw.
oh, the last straw.
Oh
Yeah,
my, yeah, so deep, so deep.
I'm actually digging this.
What? No,
I'm
hold on,
actually
hold on, hold on.
I'm digging
Stop
this,
it,
dog.
stop it, stop it. That's what he does, man. Don't fall into the trap. Don't fall in the trap, man. That's what he does, man. As my wife, man. He
Will
all
this?
his concepts are amazing. I don't he just knows how to create amazing concepts, but they're doo-doo. Trust me. Trust. They're not good.
Will this redeem Tyler Perry for me, or
Oh
am I being sucked into the?
I mean,
You
watch
know,
if you want to, man. But I'm just telling you, man. That's just what he does. It looks like an amazing concept, but I got a couple problems with it already. I mean, obviously, I do think there's is need for something like this, a story, set it off, kind
right?
of update. But with kind of reminds me of you remember John Q, the Denzel Washington movie. Do you remember that one? That was pretty good
Hmm.
when he was in the hospital trying to save his son. That was a good movie. Obviously, you had Denzel Washington, great, phenomenal actor, but it was a a story about our healthcare system, how it's failed the common man. So I think if Tyler Perry wasn't as melodramatic, that would be a great opportunity here to talk about how the economic system has, harmed folks who are, without the means to survive. But I don't think he's going with that with this, right? And so that's kind of it. Already, there were some moments in there, a little over the top, a little bit. I was like, yeah, that's about right. And I'll be honest with you, Tiana Taylor didn't strike me as an FBI negotiator or, hostage negotiator. Her face is just too strong. She's
Yeah,
very pretty, but it's just very like someone that works would not be doing this job like that. Maybe they'll be on TV talking to folks, but not
yeah.
in the clutches, like on the phone. Girl, I'm trying to get you out. Let's talk. She'd be on TV somewhere. So she's very beautiful, but just very striking face. So it's just no. So, anyways, those are the two comments I have. Any thoughts?
It's like, ooh, that negotiator has very well done eyebrows.
Yes, they were
I should
on
listen to her.
fleek. Yes, yes. I mean, they got her looking good. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
but if you ever seen her, she's been around a while, right? She's
Hmm.
got a very strong face, right? And so it's just like
Yeah.
you
You
just
know
won't
what?
forget it.
That's a good point. I wonder if they should have pulled a Mariah Carey from that one movie, and
Yeah,
was it
Precious.
Precious,
Yeah, Precious. Yeah,
where they took her down a bit, but
yeah. They
Tiana was
should. Yeah, they
yeah.
made her look like amazing. I'm like, well, this is kind of distracting me from the concept of the story. Now, Taraji made sense. She had to get her looking rough because she's a mother. I get that. The bank lady, Sherry Shepard, had her looking
Hmm.
plain. But the negotiator is fly as hell. Nah.
That threw you off. Huh?
Yeah, it did. I was like, huh? What's this story about?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah,
Your
Tiana
thoughts?
Tiana gets kind of a pass for me. She's just kind of like, Tiana, whatever. You kind of expect the same Tiana
Yeah.
whenever she
Well, she's
shows
gonna
up.
be in that. We did the review. Remember, she's gonna be in that new Leonardo DiCaprio movie, right?
Mhm.
And I think she's gonna play his wife or baby mama. She wasn't. She looked striking in there, but she wasn't all made up though, right? She was shooting those guns and stuff, and I was like, yeah, that's probably the look that she should have went. They should have went for here, but
Mm.
who am I?
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. The thing that scares me, and to your point, is that in these types of trailers, when they show the action, they show the characters back and forth, they give just a small little hint of that underlying story, that through line that kind of makes it a little more than just, hey, this is a message. In a
Message.
yeah, you don't just want like message in a bank, right? Or and coming from Taraji's life story, it almost makes too much sense. Where it's like I'm going to be sitting in the theater thinking, yeah, she was talking about this on the news, you know.
Yeah.
And I start to remove myself from the story and start thinking about real life, which is what I don't want to do when I get into a movie. Um, I want the weight of it to be there. I just don't want to think about Taraji and her personal story while I'm watching a movie about what's supposed to be an overall theme
Oh, it's
in life.
story around like single mother and all that kind of. I know it's single.
No, and about not getting her fair shake. She doesn't get, like she couldn't
Oh,
pay. Like she was like, I just need my check, and she's like,
oh,
been on
yeah,
talk
good
shows
point. Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
cut the check and everything,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what's in my that's the last production that's in my mind from her, and
Well,
that's kind of a problem to me. Where it's
Tyler
like,
Perry should be beginning breaking off. I mean, come on now. This is the third movie they did together, I think, or fourth. So, yeah, you would think.
I just don't want to. I'm scared, man. But as far as trailer goes, I'm hyped. I don't know what to grade this. Huh.
I mean, from a business standpoint, I mean, it's over dramatic to me. I mean, especially when they put in the whole gospel song in there. I don't know, was it? I don't know what song. It sounds like John B. Key or something. Was it Mississippi Mass Choir? In the background, right? So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
but that's perfect for his audience. So I'm gonna give him an A for marketing. That John B. Key, nobody knows, So
Yeah.
So and all black women. So this is marketing 101. Know your audience, and he definitely knows that. He's probably got him hyped, and so this is an A for me. But even though me personally, I would not grade it that high because it's not for me.
Yeah, you know what? I'm looking in the comments and it said Joniqua Q is having a bad day. Boy, the references are strong in this one.
Joniqua Q.
Yeah, and they're all in here. Set it off. John Q comments, and
I didn't read the comments. I already knew, man, the references that were going to pop up. It's so funny.
So I mean, I still think it's a strong trailer. My only flaw is that it really didn't hint to anything of story interest. Like, there's a bad day, can't cash your check, your daughter needs help, love all that, get it, but it just seemed a bit too straightforward.
Yeah, what's
in
the
that
twist?
respect.
Yeah, what's the twist?
So, right, and I didn't get any hint of that from the trailer. So I'm waffling between an A and an A minus. You know what? I had overly low expectations for Tyler Perry. That's why I think of it a little bit higher than it should be. A minus. I like it. I want to see more. As far as the trailer is concerned, A minus.
Okay. Awesome.
All right. Thank you for watching that one with us. Should we do an outro on the trailers? Thanks for watching on everyone.
Well, yeah. Hey, comment if you want us to do outros. Let us know. We just like to just get right into it, But it's up to you guys. If you guys want to do a little outro or something, I think it doesn't matter.
Yeah. All right. Well, so that was our trailer reaction to Straw. Let us know what you think and like in the comments and share, retweet. Yeah, do whatever you want because we're just doing them. In fact, we're going to go on to the next one right now. All right. This is our official trailer reaction to Murderbot, a trailer that came out a month ago, but has 30.2 million views. And I figured, hey, we should watch this. Starting right now.
I am a security unit, or sec unit. I was built to protect and obey humans, and humans are idiots. But now that I've hacked my programming, I can do whatever I want, as long as they don't find out.
Now, let's talk security. We need you to select a sec unit to take on the mission.
This is the newest model available.
What's the one behind it?
That's a refurbished model.
Oh, look at that piece of crap. Oh, wait, that's me.
Which one's the least expensive? That one, but you get what you pay for.
True.
Wouldn't be so creepy if it didn't stand so still. Shh, you can hear us. We can't.
I could. I just didn't care. I was watching the entertainment channels on the company's satellites. I had watched 7,532 hours of content. Shows like The Rise and Fall of Sanctuary Moon.
Did you sleep with that bot? Stars, Captain.
Oh, what now? Run! Stay calm. It'll be okay.
I didn't know that's a face.
Yeah, it's kind of a sweet face.
Stop staring at me.
I wasn't. Stop staring at me.
I have been noticing some anomalies with the sec unit.
Uh-oh.
And when I plugged into its system, the unit was already rogue.
It calls itself Murderbot. How's private?
It's a killing machine.
Murderbot?
Can you stop calling it Murderbot? It's terrifying.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what it calls itself, so I am just being respectful.
Do you think we can trust it?
It seems like it's going through something.
Eye contact.
What the hell? You could have killed me. There was a chance, yes. But everything turned out fine.
I'm stuck in the middle with you. Here I am.
Dirty little secret. I have seen this before, so I think I mentioned it
Yes,
before.
older
yeah,
trailer.
So,
Month old.
yeah, so I already kind of have an opinion. So I'll let you go first.
Yeah, why does this have 3.2 million views? Is there a big book audience for this? And
So it's based on a book. That's correct.
yeah, and why did it feel like it showed so much? Those are the things I just kind of came to mind. It felt like they just really started telling the story. I don't know how far it goes, but interesting stuff.
Are you intrigued? Is this on a level of C for you for Apple TV?
Okay, so yeah, there has to be a certain amount of intrigue. I mean, that's part of my criteria for watching a trailer, right? You watch it and it's not just like, oh, that was good, nice explosions or this and that. To me, there has to be a hook, a vibe that makes me want to react in some way, such that in the future, when I'm deciding what to watch on TV, or if I'm going to the theater, or I just want to stick in my mind. I can tell you now, a week from now, this is not going to be in my mind. It's just not. There's nothing. It's not bad at all. I kind of like the concept. I kind of like the way it was filmed, but the trailer presentation just seems so cheap and schlocky. Like, hey, I'm a robot. I like this. Here are my funny little quips. It's like, I watch all this TV. Okay. But okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I need a little more tension.
Gotcha. Well, I felt the tension. There's two pieces of tension. Tension that they're gonna find out he is, off his, his what's it called? He's I can't remember the term right now, but he can do whatever he wants. He's rogue. He's not tied to his AI programming. So that's number one. So they're gonna find out. Number two, is he gonna revert back to his old AI programming where he's just gonna kill everything and go off the rails? So it does dive into that AI anxiety we're all feeling right now. So I think that's something. Plus, it's tongue in cheek. He wants to watch streaming shows, which this is a streaming show, so haha, joke's on you, meta. It's futuristic, so you got a little futuristic thing thrown in there and what it means to be human and all that kind of stuff. So but like you said, it's based on a best-selling book, I think a graphic novel, I think it was, and so people are digging that. And when you look at the comments, people seem to enjoy. If you read the book, they said this is hitting all the pleasure centers, right? Because they've they watched the book, and so the inner monologue with the robot in his head has to keep in there. The whole streaming series that he's watching has to be kept in there. It looks like it's there. So I don't know, man.
What's interesting is that this is one of those things where you start to get a little more appreciation of it from other people's appreciation of it.
Yeah.
Where people keep saying they're mentioning Sanctuary Moon, the series that he was looking at in on his streaming service or whatever you want to call it, and people are in the comments like, dude, I never thought I'd see live action Sanctuary Moon and this other person. I hope Sanctuary Moon actors get to go ham. And it's like this one guy, I screamed higher than I've been able to scream in nearly 15 years. I own and read this whole series of books. This is exciting. So I can't knock it. It's hitting its audience, it seems. And as I said, the 3.2 million views is the only reason why we pulled this one out of the archive and decided to watch it.
Yeah,
maybe I check out the books. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I do too. Well, and they make a good point. Apple TV Plus single-handedly keeping sci-fi alive. Foundation, Dark Matter, Severance,
Ah,
Silo, excuse me. The Gorge, For All Mankind, FAMU. That's my favorite show. It's the reason Apple TV Plus is one of the only streaming subs that keep consistently. He ain't lying. Yeah, shout out to that commenter because I mean that's Apple TV does, man. It has some great sci-fi stuff, man. If you're into that, so yeah, Murderbot fits right in with that, and I think. And then also, last but not least, Alexander Skarsgård, man. He's been around for a long time. If you watch
yeah,
Blood, he was in Succession. I mean, he has a face. He could be leading actor, and he did. I think he was Tarzan one time, but he's such
hmm
a what's it called? Character actor, right? I mean, he can be comedy, he can be funny, he can be straight laced. So I mean, just how some people they look certain way, they could be, I could be a leading man, blah blah blah, but he's not. He's like a off kilter type of actor. So it's kind of
yeah,
interesting to see him play this role. So isn't that funny? I thought that was amazing to me how some actors are like, very character actor, but even though they look like they shouldn't be,
yeah,
but they are. He's one of those guys. So he's been in some crazy shows. I saw him and he played like he didn't talk for a whole movie. He was
yeah.
like he played a weird a weird kind of person, who was kind of off his meds or something like that. So he's been all kinds of. He's been like the stud. He's been the weakling. He's been all kinds of different actors. So he's got range. So kudos to him. So we'll see how this does. Yeah, man. So my grade for the audience, I would say marketing wise, I would have to say, it's quirky to me. It's hitting the brand, but to your point, it's going to that audience. And this Martha, I think the author's name is Martha Wells or something. Yeah,
hmm
Martha Wells. She's not as big as Tyler Perry. So the bigger thing is how can they expand this brand out to other folks? Did that work on that level? And I don't think it did per se because I do feel like, you made a good point. It's like, what is this exactly? Is this hodgepodge? Where's the tension? I do see there's tension, but I don't think it's ramped up enough to your point. So I would give it a B right now as far as like, can they expand this brand outside of the core audience who are hardcore?
Yeah, exactly. Um, as far as this trailer goes, I'll give it a B plus. I want to give it a B plus and not an A because I was thinking maybe I'm being too. Maybe it deserves a little more credit because of what it's doing for its audience. But then I had to think back and like, no, no, no. There have been a lot of other properties like Fallout came to mind, and
Yeah, good point.
The Boys.
But
Even
Fallout was based on a huge video game. The
Mhm.
Boys was based on a huge comic book.
Right. And what I'm saying with those is that they cater to those audiences without feeling like they're only catering to those audiences and they're relying on it. Like these were
Gotcha.
still really good trailers that were interesting, I think, to people who were outside of the loop.
Okay.
I'm looking back at like some of the other trailers now. I'm like, no, they're good quality. But yes, B plus. I'll give it to them. Maybe a B. No, I'll leave it at a B plus. I said what I said.
Said what you said, son.
Son.
Oh man. Well, Mr. Benja, I think we covered it all today. Anything else coming up for you this week?
Well, I may want to check out the aftermath of streaming university, man. People are still going live, and the thing is, people are going to keep going live, talking about what's happening. This is the last day of it while we're recording this right now, and it's bonkers, man. Twitch created its own category just for this. So.
Well, Mr. Benja, have fun with that. I will be
No,
grilling.
I will not be. No. You're right. I will not be distracted. Back to it. I got a book to write. I'm taking down notes. That's what it's about.
Do that freeze frame, Mario. Yeah. Yes. Maybe you, me, and Dr. Chris got to get all together and come down to Super Nintendo Land, man. We hang out, do some content out there. That was fun. So.
Yeah.
But hey, everyone, thank you for listening today. Please like, subscribe, and comment at Show vs. Business on X, Threads, YouTube, and Instagram. Listen to us at Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to check out more, go check out our website at Show vs. Business. All right, everyone. Have a great one.
Peace.